Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV's Point Predictor, the series where I predict 5 FPL players that I believe are guaranteed to score 4 points or more in the upcoming Fantasy Premier League game week. However, to keep things interesting, I've got to include one defensive option, as well as one midfield and one forward option who are both valued below the price of 8 million. Also, I can only select one player per team. If you're enjoying the series, then please let me know by hitting the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly FPL videos. Before we start the Game Week 5 Point Predictor, let's take a quick look back at my selections from last week and see how I fared. Considering his 4.5 million price tag and the fact that Burnley were yet to keep a clean sheet all season, selecting Stephen Ward wasn't an easy decision, but it was one that paid off, with his opponent's Crystal Palace failing to score yet again, and Stephen Ward amassing a very impressive 8 points. It's the second time in 3 Point Predictors that I've backed Fabregas to get some points, but it seems I picked him at the wrong time again, as he collected the bog standard 2 points. He played well, but didn't deliver on the FPL front in Chelsea's away win against Leicester. Christian Eriksen has been in scintillating form for both club and country since the start of the season, so this choice was a bit of a no-brainer, and once again he delivered, scoring in Tottenham's comfortable win over Everton. West Ham finally got a win under their belt in their first home game of the season. Chicharito, though, will have disappointed over 28% of all FPL managers, failing to score, and worst of all, being substituted in the 63rd minute. He did come close to scoring, hitting the bar, but you don't get points for that in the FPL, so ultimately, a poor choice here. Lacazette was one of the more outside choices in Game Week 4 when compared to a few other of the big hitters, but thankfully the choice was justified as he scored against the struggling Bournemouth and collected a not fantastic but a respectable 6 points. So for Game Week 4's Point Predictor, I've managed 3 out of 5 correct predictions. Fairly satisfying and an improvement on last week's effort, but let's see if I can go one better for Game Week 5 selections, so let's go through those now. For the Game Week 5 Point Predictor, I'll start things off with my defensive option, and I've selected Marcos Alonso. From an FPL perspective, playing Arsenal isn't the best of games to expect defensive returns. But Arsenal's record away to Chelsea is extremely poor, and I believe that Marcos Alonso has a good chance of some attacking returns in this fixture. The Chelsea defender currently stands top of the table for goal attempts in his position with 10 attempts on goal. I can't see past a comfortable Chelsea win here, and with Alonso scoring against Arsenal in this fixture last season, I think the expensive defender could be a decent shout this week. For my budget midfielder, a category I found quite difficult so far this season, I'm opting for Brighton's Pascal Gross. Following 3 disappointing game weeks for him and Brighton in general, Gross burst onto the scene in Game Week 4, scoring 2 and assisting 1 in his team's 3-1 victory over West Brom. In the process of being involved in all 3 goals, he picked up a mouth-watering 18-point haul. So I'm selecting him to hopefully take his confidence into Game Week 5, with Brighton play a Bournemouth side who are yet to pick up any points this season. And as a quick FPL tip, if you're not already aware, the deadline for this Game Week 5 is on Friday evening at 7 PM, so be sure not to miss that one. I'm going to move on now to my premium striker category, and for me, it's very difficult to look past Harry Kane this game week. As of right now, and for this game week in particular, this is a very tough category, with so many premium strikers looking like excellent shouts this week. Lukaku, Morata, Jesus, Aguero, Firmino, all having either form or fixtures on this side this week. But with Kane finally off the mark for the season, Eriksen behind him in great form, and with a home fixture against Swansea next, surely it's unthinkable that he won't return points here. Harry Kane has already let me down massively in my personal FPL team, so hopefully he won't let me down in the Point Predictor too. So with a Tottenham player now selected, this rules out my chance to pick Eriksen or Dele Alli for my premium midfielder option, so this sees Mohamed Salah return to my Point Predictor for the second time this season. I am filming this before his Champions League game on Wednesday night, so hopefully Salah comes out of that one uninjured. If he does, I feel he could play a vital part in Liverpool's attack against Burnley at home, especially with his teammate Sadio Mane missing. Salah boasts an assist and 2 goals so far this season and has 22 touches in the opponent's penalty area, behind only Richarlison and the suspended Sadio Mane. This leaves me with my budget striker option, and with me very keen to include a Man United player somewhere in this selection, the only option I really have left is Marcus Rashford. As a genuine FPL option, I'm not yet convinced on Rashford. It's just too difficult to fit him in, with most managers opting for the more prolific Romelu Lukaku, and Rashford's battle for game time with teammate Anthony Martial also doesn't help him become a viable option. With that said, for this game week alone, I do fancy him to pick up a few points. He scored in the last 2 games for United, albeit one from the bench, and also scored in their midweek Champions League game on Tuesday night. He started that game on the bench too, but that could mean that he's nice and fresh for United's fixture against Everton next, a fixture I expect them to win comfortably. With the Champions League included, that's 3 goals in 3 games for Rashford now, so he goes into this game in a nice bit of form. Hopefully, he ends up being a smart choice for my point predictor this week. And that wraps up my point predictor for Game Week 5. Another difficult week of selections for me, especially with only 4 days in between game weeks to choose, but it'll be interesting to see how many I get right next week. Whether you're new to the channel or you're a regular who's enjoying the series, then be sure to get subscribed and support FPL TV. As always, be sure to leave your own 5 selections in the comments below. Good luck in Game Week 5, and I'll see you all next week. And please remember, FPL responsibly.